here and welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna do something that I'm actually looking forward to a lot, because in 2019 I only read 14 books. And I was very, very discouraged in 2019. I was like, I have failed at life. Because, if you all didn't know, I have a bachelor's in English, and I have a master's in library and information science. So I went to school to deal with books, to encourage people to read books, and to live, breathe, and eat books. Not literally, but yeah. And my YouTube channel started out as book reviews pretty much, and I have kind of strayed away from that. And thankfully, in 2020, one of the good things to come out of 2020 is that I re-found my love for books. My goal for 2020 was to read 35 books. That was my goal. And as of today, it's December 31st, I have finished 40 books, so I'm 5 above my goal. And I possibly might finish 1 or 2 more books before the day is up. So this video will just be me going through the books I've read in 2020, and then the 2 books at the end that I might possibly finish today to make it 41 or 42 books for the year. But definitely 40 books for the year. I'm super excited. So I'm basically just going to go in order of the books from what I read first to the most recently. That's how we're going to do this. And I don't actually have the books with me because once I finish reading books, I take them over to my parents' house. The first book that I finished in 2020 was How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. It was really good. It was great. I enjoyed it. And this year was released The Midnight Library by him. I haven't gotten it yet, but it's on my to be read and buy list. I have many lists. The second was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. And then I finished it later, but because it's still in the same series, I'm going to list it. I read Wayward Sun by Rainbow Rowell. So I read both books 1 and 2 of that series. And book 3 is coming out in 2021. Then I also finished the Crazy Rich Asian series. So I read Rich People Problems by Kevin Kwan, and let me tell you, such a great series. Like, it's probably the trilogy I've gotten through the quickest in like the last 3 or 4 years. Like, I was just like, book, and I just like ate them all up. They were so good. I love them. I really like the movie too, but the books are superior and I would highly suggest them. Highly suggest them. Then I finished P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. And I had read To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and then the movie came out, and then they announced the second movie, and I was like, well, I gotta read the second book now. And I still need to read the third, but it's a great series. If you watch the movie, you'll enjoy the book. Next book is The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. This one was a Reese's, her book club pick, and I ended up seeing it, I don't know whether it was Wegmans or Walmart, but I saw it. It was like $6.99 or $7.99. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a try, I'll see. And it actually was, I would say, the most surprising book, like in a good way, because I picked it up, it's just as like, okay, I'll see, you know. But then I was like, oh, I actually enjoyed it, and I actually read it pretty quick too. So it was a good choice. I'm gonna have to check out more by her. And then my next book, which was my most anticipated book of 2020, was Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I am a huge Shadowhunters fan. I was crushed when I found out that the TV series was canceled. I was destroyed. But the books continue on, and it's set in the Edwardian period, and it's great. You know, I can't really say anything else. I mean, if you don't know anything about the Shadowhunter world, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's amazing. It's great. Then I read The Raven's Tale by Kat Winters. This is about Edgar Allan Poe, and it's kind of like a YA, like following him to college and whatnot. And it was good. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but it was still really good and enjoyable, and it's still worth a read if you're an Edgar Allan Poe fan. The next book I read is The Strange Fascinations of Noah Hypnotic by David Arnold. This one was kind of trippy. It was different. I did get through it pretty quickly. It is a quick read. But it was just different. It kind of throws your brain for a loop. So if you want to, like, you know, be hypnotized or whatever, you can check out this book. The next book is When Gods Die by C.S. Harris. This is a Victorian mystery novel, and it's actually like this whole series. It's the Sebastian Saint Cyr? It's C-Y-R series. And there's like a whole bunch of books. This one that I wrote is book 2. I didn't realize when I think I picked it up that it was like a series. I usually like to start with book 1. Now granted, you can read these like as individuals, or you can read them, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But yeah, it was good. It took me a little while to get into it, but once I was into it, it was good. Great for Victorian mysteries. I love Victorian mysteries. They're probably my favorite mysteries, so. Then the next one was Dead in the Family by Charlene Harris. This is the Sookie Stackhouse series, and I believe this is book 10. Yeah, I think it was. I've been reading this series for years, and I still have not finished it. I'm very close. I think I have 2 books left in the series, which I need to get on reading that. It was good, you know, if you like Sookie Stackhouse. I didn't watch True Blood. I don't watch HBO. So I don't know if it... I watched the first True Blood episode, and then I refused to watch anymore because it was horrible. Then I read Artemis Fowl by Eoin Colfer? Eoin Colfer? I don't know if that's... I didn't really enjoy it. I think I had bought it because I heard that the movie was coming out, and it has fairies in it. I love fairies. Another big thing that I love, fairies. So I was just like, okay, I'll give it a try, and I want to finish it before the movie comes out. So I read the book, wasn't impressed. Watched the movie, wasn't impressed. This will actually probably be a series that I DNF, because there's just no way that I'm going to purchase and read the rest of the books. Yeah, it was bleh. Don't recommend it. The next book I read was Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Brendart. I don't know. This is like, it's about this journalist who goes to, I believe he's a journalist. I think he's a journalist. That goes to like this town in Georgia, and he meets like all the residents, and then a murder happens, and there's like this trial, and it's basically, it's supposed to be based on real life and a real case and something that happened. I started this book years and years and years ago and finally finished it. It was on my DNF pile for a very long time, and I was finally like, I gotta do it. I don't know if I'll be reading it. I think I have one other book by this author, but I don't know if I'll ever read it or not. It might end up in my unhaul because I just didn't enjoy it. It was interesting, but I didn't enjoy it. The next one was Manor of Secrets by Catherine Longshore. This is, if you like Downton Abbey, or you like learning about the maids and butlers and scullery maids and everything that live and work in the houses of like the upper crust over in England way back when, you'll enjoy it. It was great. A light read. It's a standalone. No complaints. I enjoyed it. Then I read Demon Crown by James Rollins. James Rollins is becoming one of my more favorite authors recently. I love Dan Brown. Dan Brown is amazing. I love conspiracy theories. And I love like them taking like historical things or like something that potentially may have happened and then like making this whole story around it and like this big like national treasure, and I just love that so much. And James Rollins does this. The Demon Crown is about these like prehistoric bugs that are pretty much indestructible that have been bred and unleashed, and It's just so good. If you like Dan Brown, you'd like James Rollins. I highly suggest him. I want to read more. I think I have at least one more of his books, and I've read a previous one that was about the 7 Plagues of Egypt, which was really good too. So, great stuff. Then, the next book was Prophet by Frank E. Peretti. I love some of Frank E. Peretti stuff. Other things I don't. Like, his favorite of mine is The Oath. Prophet, like, I understand the message. I agree with the message, but, because it's Christian fiction. But it was just so slow, and it was tedious, and it was another book that I read for years and years, like, I had in my DNF pile for years and years and years until I finally picked it back up, and I was like, I'm going to finish it! I have like 100 pages left! So yeah, I wouldn't start with Prophet if you are interested in Christian fiction and you want to read, I guess it would be thriller? Yeah, I guess he does thriller like Ted Dekker does, which Ted Dekker is my favorite. But I would definitely read The Oath. The Oath is really good. That one I read years ago, and I loved it. So good, so good. And then the next one was The Wind-Up Girl by Paolo Bacigalupi? I'm sorry, I don't know what the name is. This is very much sci-fi, dystopian. It was in my DNF pile for years and years and years, and I finally was like, I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna get it done. I enjoyed it, but I don't know, just not as much as I was hoping to, because I had heard some really great things about it. I think it won some awards, but I was just like, meh. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I probably will never read it again or pick up anything else by him either. So, yeah. Then, the other book that I was super excited for was The School for Good and Evil books, One True King by Soman Kayani. I love The School for Good and Evil. Love it, love it, love it. And let me just say, the first 3 books, masterpieces. Absolute masterpieces. One of the best series ever created. I love it so much, but when he released the second trilogy in the series, books 4, 5, and 6, when I first read book 4, I didn't understand the need for the second trilogy, and I was actually kind of disappointed with the fourth book, and I was like, I don't understand why he's dragging it on, like, why is he continuing this series? And then I got to the 5th book, and I'm like, oh, this is getting better, this is getting really good, and then the 6th book, oh, beautiful, magic, great finale to the series, absolutely loved it, and it's definitely worth reading the other 2 books to get to that final book. You have to read books like 1 through 5 to get to the 6th book, or it's completely lost on you. Because you really grow with these characters, and you get to really know and understand these characters and where they're coming from, and like you're rooting for certain ones, and it's an amazing series. If you haven't read it, please pick it up. I don't think you will regret it. Now it is, I will say it is for middle school age kids. There are pictures in it. It's pretty easy language, but points, like concepts and like things they discuss and like some of the topics I feel are more like teenage young adult. So I really liked it, because YA is my forte. The next book I read was The Starlight C by Erin Morgenstern. I loved, was it The Midnight Circus? The Night Circus. I love The Night Circus when that came out. I thought it was really good. So I was really looking forward to this one. And it's not as good as The Night Circus, but it was still really good. I know a lot of people are saying that they were disappointed in it, that it didn't live up to their expectations, but yeah, I think it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was kind of, I mean, it's a different like dimension, and there's like a secret society, and the writing's beautiful. Like, I ate this book up. It was done and gone, and it was one, because I got a Kindle Paperwhite this year, which I'm going to be doing a video, the pros and cons of an e-reader, because I swore up and down I would never get one, and I got one. But this is one of the first books that I got once I purchased it, and it was like, I think probably a week and the book was done. Which is pretty fast for me, because like I said, I have a big DNF section. So if I actually read a book in a week, that's pretty impressive. So I would say great book. The next book was Death of the Mad Hatter by Sarah J. Pepper. This is another book that I'd started reading and put to the side because I think it was the writing style. I didn't really like that much about it. It's I don't want to say it's a retelling of Alice in Wonderland, but it's like one of the characters' name is Alice. There is Wonderland, there is the Red Queen, there is the Mad Hatter, but it's like they basically took the characters and like changed it up and everything. It was really good once I actually got into it and I was like invested in like actually sitting down and reading it and putting my like focus on it. And I think there's more in the series. Maybe not. It might be a standalone. I'll have to look into it. If there's more, I will continue reading it because I did enjoy it. And if you like Alice in Wonderland, I would highly suggest it. The next book was Angels of Music by Kim Newman. And I didn't get what I was expecting out of this book. From the description of it, the Phantom of the Opera has like these, I think it's 12 angels of music. And he only has 3 at a time, and as like they leave or like die or whatnot, he replaces them. So there's 12 total, but there's 3 at a time. And this book was set up in like, I think it was like 5 different short stories. And one of them was a little too gruesome for my taste. Like, it was disgusting. I forget which story it was. If I had, I'd like open up to it. I don't remember which story it was. But one of the short stories, I would not suggest eating before or during reading that short story. And I don't want to say, like, I like thriller, like psychological thriller, and I'll read, like, horror books. It was just gruesome. Like, it's not like I had nightmares or anything, but I was just, like, completely grossed out. Ugh. Kind of like watching Attack on Titans. Like, it's not scary, it's just disturbing. So yeah, if you like disturbing and the Phantom of the Opera, and you kind of like, there's a set of short stories that form the whole book, and they're kind of like interlocked with each other. If you like that kind of setup, I'd suggest it, but it just wasn't what I wanted, or what I was expecting. So I would say I personally was disappointed, because I was thinking, ooh, like Charlie's Angel. I thought it was going to be like, kind of like fun, and like, you know, more like Charlie's Angels, and that's not what I got. So, just keep that in mind. Alright, so it's a little while later, my battery died, and I had to wait to recharge it, which took like an hour and a half, but that's okay. We'll get back to this list now. So the next book I read is I'm Still Here, Black Dignity in a World Made for Whiteness by Austin Channing Brown. This is a story, or not a story, but it's I guess it's a biography? I guess you would call it a biography about a black woman and her experiences with racism in like the corporate world. I found it really interesting, and I also have a few other ebooks on this topic that I look forward to reading, hopefully in 2021. The next book I read was Emma by Jane Austen. I've never been a big fan of Austen's writing. Please, don't kill me. I love all the movies that I've seen made from her works, but her writing style isn't something that I have necessarily gotten into or can get into. It's, I don't know, it doesn't flow as well as I would like it to. But I really loved the Emma movie that came out this year that stars Anya Taylor-Joy as Emma, and I wanted to finally read the book. So I read it, and I actually really enjoyed it because the movie, the new Emma movie, follows the book so well that I could actually see the scenes as I'm reading the book. So I found that more of an enjoyable experience than if I hadn't like watched the movie. The next book I watched was Love at First Sight. Love at First Fight by Maggie Dallin. So this is the first book in a trilogy, I believe. Now these can all be read as standalones. But it's about this girl who gets this picture posted online, and apparently it's a humiliating photo, and I think she accuses this one guy of posting it, but he didn't actually do it. I really enjoyed it. It was a quick, fast read, and I actually bought the other 2 ebooks because that one I got as a free ebook. And then I was just like, well, I'm going to get the other 2, which is like My Virtual Prince Charming, and the other one is something about Comic-Con. I'm like, oh, okay, these sound really cute. I think I'll really enjoy them. The next one is The Mall by Megan McCafferty. This was a really cute, quick read. It takes place in the 80s at a mall, and the main girl ends up getting cheated on by her boyfriend after, I believe she had mono. She had mono for like 3 or 4 months and was out of school, and he was trying to tell her that they were over, but he didn't want to hurt her feelings, especially with her being sick and everything. And then they were working at the same place in the mall. Well, she ends up getting another job, and then she becomes friends with this girl she used to be friends with, and they kind of like go on like this treasure hunt at the mall, and she like meets this guy at the music store, and it's just kind of like her summer working at the mall and this like treasure hunt that they're going on. And it was really sweet and nice, and I think it would actually make a cute movie too. And I'm also a big fan of the Goldbergs and 80s films, so it was great. But then, well, I actually have the Ghost of the Shadow Market. I read one of the short stories, out of here, Cast Long Shadows, and that one is written by Cassandra Clare and Sarah Reese Brennan. And this one focused on Matthew Fairchild and James Harrendale. And it's a story about them in the Shadow Market. I need to read the rest of this book. Then I read Enola Holmes, The Case of the Missing Marquess by Nancy Springer. And of course, after watching the Enola Holmes movie on Netflix that stars Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill, I had to read the book. This is a case where the movie is better than the book. I just think the movie just did such a great job of like making it so it can be for kids and or adults, where the book, it feels very much like it's for children. The way it's written, I do plan on finishing the series because it was enjoyable. It just wasn't as good as the movie. Then I read The Lost Order by Steve Barry. This is kind of another like conspiracy about like a secret society who have like this gold, it's like the stolen gold from like the South during the Civil War, and like the little caches that it was like hidden in, and like the sentinels that are like protecting it, and like it was just good. Yet again, if you like Dan Brown or James Rollins, you'll like Steve Barry. If you like conspiracy theories and action and like government, like I guess government conspiracy. It was just really good. I liked it. It started off slow. Like, I will admit, I read like the first 2 or 3 chapters and then DNF'd it. And then I picked it up again this year. I think it was like 40 or 50 pages in, and then I like finished it super quick. I guess wasn't in, I'm a mood reader. So if I start picking up something I'm not in the mood, I'll DNF it and I'll get back to it eventually. Then I started reading this book series back in 2012. Maybe actually before 2012. That's just when I added it onto Goodreads that I was reading it. And so it's 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. And you can either buy like the really big like hardback like thick boy, or you could buy it in like 3 separate paperbacks. So I bought the 3 separate paperbacks, and I had read the first part, and I was in the middle of the second part. And I was like, I've had this on my DNF pile for like 8+ years. I need to finish it. So I forced myself through the second book. I forced myself through the third part of the book, and I'm sorry, it wasn't worth it. It just was not worth it. The one book I would say I enjoyed the least. It didn't make any sense. It is sci-fi again. I just don't... I like the idea of sci-fi, but I don't think I actually enjoy reading it. Don't know why. Even though I have some sci-fi on my to-be-read pile. But yeah. I just wouldn't recommend it. Unless you are into deep sci-fi confusing stuff. Not for me. But I made it through. And then I read The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest by Stieg Larsson. This is part of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. I believe this is the 3rd book in the series. This is another one I had on my DNF pile. You're getting the gist here. This is me trying to catch up on my DNF pile. For quite a few years. And I don't know why I ever DNF'd it, because I love Stieg Larsson. I've loved all of the books. They are thick. They're 800, 1,000 pages each or whatever. So they take a while to read. Yes, like Game of Thrones or whatever. But it was just I was really enjoying it, but I guess I wasn't in the mood. So I think it was halfway done, and I finished the other half. But yes, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is a good series. I will be reading it all. It's just, I have to be in the mood for it. Then the next one is Beyond All Dream by Elizabeth Camden. This is actually, I guess it'd be Christian romance? Or Christian themed romance? But it's about this librarian and a congressman. Yes, it's about a librarian and a congressman. 2 unlikely people with troubled childhoods who kind of come together and I guess heal each other? Yeah. But her father died in a boat accident with the military or navy or whatever they had back, because this was back, this takes place when the now Library of Congress building was opening. It starts off when the Library of Congress is actually in the Congress building. So yeah, this took place a while ago, so I don't know I forget what group. It's probably the Navy. But they said that it was sunk by a hurricane or something like that, but where they said that it sunk, it doesn't make sense because there wasn't actually a hurricane in that area, and she had gotten letters from her father that had implied that he was in another part of the world. And so she's actually a map librarian, so this is all not adding up, and she wants to find out what's going on. And at the same time, this congressman is having spats with someone else high in the government, and he's trying to figure out, basically trying to find something that this person has done wrong, so that he can almost blackmail them to step down their power and get them to stop bullying him. So he goes to her to do all this research for him, and it's just really sweet and cute, and I liked it. Then I read Mask of the Red Death by Bethany Griffin. This was a book I actually have. It's a duology, and I've had the duology sitting on my to-be-read one of my to-be-read bookshelves for quite a while, and I had read another one of her books years ago that I really liked, and I read through really quick. So I don't know why I never picked this up, but I picked it up. This is kind of a reimagining, or it just takes the theme of The Mask of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe, and basically you're in this world where there's this plague and everyone's wearing masks and it's contagious, and if you go outside, well, actually they have to leave on their masks all the time. This was actually the perfect year to read it, and because of us now having to wear masks because of 2020, but they literally have to wear it all the time because the air itself is toxic, and if you don't have the proper filtration system, you can then get the virus, and it's not curable. And then there's there's the prince who's in charge, who's selling the masks for these really expensive prices and throwing parties, and he doesn't actually care about his people. And then you have these 2 branching groups that are trying to overthrow the prince, but they're also against each other. And it's set in kind of a steampunk Victorian era, I guess. But it's really good. I really liked it, and I can't wait for the next book. Oh, and there's also an ebook novella. Then there was Hidden Sea by Gregory Maguire. This one, I'm kind of torn because I was really looking forward to this, but at the same time, I already didn't think that I was going to enjoy it because I had read Wicked, and I did not like it at all. And I'm also reading After Alice. That's on my current DNF pile right now. And it's like, it's okay, but I'm not really feeling it. But Hidden Sea is about the Nutcracker. But it's not actually about the Nutcracker. It's about Drosselmeyer and like his childhood and how he, like, I guess becomes a toy maker. And there's a lot of like, I guess you want to say like allegory and like symbolism. And it was kind of really confusing. I don't know. Gregory Maguire isn't my favorite. I'm still going to try to finish reading After Alice. And I still want to read there's one he wrote about the wild swan or something like that I want to read. But he's not my favorite. And he has a lot of like symbolism and stuff in his books that I don't get. I need straightforward. I need stuff to be more straightforward. I don't like these hidden meanings and things. Unless it's like a conspiracy theory, then I'm fine with it. Then I read The Spirit Glass Charade by Colleen Gleason, and this is the second book in the Stoker and Holmes series, which I really like the series. It's really cute. I believe it's Sherlock Holmes' sister and Bram Stoker's sister like team up, and they're like secret agents for Queen Victoria? I believe it's Queen Victoria with Sherlock Holmes' love interest. Irene Adler. And there's this girl who believes that her brother is alive and that her mother is coming to her as a ghost to tell her to save her brother. And all this stuff happens. There's vampires. There's a ghost. There's seance. Like it's like traditional like Victorian era stuff. And yeah, there's mystery and there's vampire. Then there's like the short story The Princess Game by Soman Kayani. This is, I believe Amazon they selected certain authors to write these short, like, fairy tale, like, short stories. And there were 5 authors selected. I only read the one by Soman Kayani. And this is kind of, there's these girls at this school that are called the princesses. And they're, like, slowly being killed one by one. And they're all being killed in ways of, like, the Disney princesses, you know. Like, one girl gets sealed in a glass coffin. One girl, I don't know, I forget how they all die. I think one's drowned. One's has like a needle go. I don't know. They all die in these horrific ways. But they are in ways that kind of apply to fairy tales. And there's like this lacrosse team. I believe it's the lacrosse team of boys that are called the Princes. And these girls have all been like in relationships with or slept with or something with these princes. So the story is pretty much a like detectives interviewing the students and their responses. And they're trying to figure out who killed the princesses, but all the princes kind of have alibis for the ones that are connected to the princess. So, say, I don't remember their actual names, but Joe is in a relationship with Allie, and Allie gets murdered. Well, Joe has an alibi for the time that Allie gets murdered, so there's no way that he did it. So they're like, well, who did it? And it's actually an interesting twist, and I really enjoyed it. It was great. Well done. Well done, Soman Kayani. Then I read Princess Claus and the Great Escape by J.L. Gilham. This was okay. This was another free ebook I got. And I really like Holly Claus. It's like a middle grade book, and I read it several years ago, and I really liked it. This is like a young adult, kind of similar version to that, but it's about Noelle Claus, who is called Princess Claus, and she's supposed to be taking over for Santa Claus. Or she will be becoming the new Santa Claus. But she's been trapped in this bubble around Winter Wonderland? I don't know, what's Santa Claus's home? I think it's Winter Wonderland. She's been trapped in Winter Wonderland her whole life because there's this evil elf who will attack them if they leave Winter Wonderland because he can't get into the barrier. And, well, we all know what happens. So it was okay. It seems to be the first in a series, but the rest of the series isn't out yet. But I'll probably read it around Christmas time if the next book comes out. Then I read A Holiday by Gaslight by Mimi Matthews. This was really cute. It's a short, like, I guess, Regency romance or Victorian romance. There's this a well-to-do family that has, like, you know, a title over in England, and they're kind of like losing money. The dad has spent their dowry on silly things like having gas put out through their whole house. And so she's dating this guy who is a merchant, but he's a very wealthy merchant. And yeah, it's their love story, and it takes place over Christmas, and it's really cute. And this was recommended by the booktuber Desi Darling. She's so cute. She recommended it, and I bought it. Then I read Tyrants and Traitors by Joshua Miller. Now this is a retelling of King David from the Bible. And it started out really slow, and then like halfway through it got so good. Like this is like your traditional like action YA like novel. There's like a secret like society of like warriors, and then you have like the king who's crazy, and King David or Nicholas. They actually changed the names. David is Nicholas. The Prophet Solomon is Alvaro. King Saul is King Eric, and then Jonathan, Saul's son, is Darian. Anyway, the main people that you would know from the King David story, he changed their names. So they're completely different. But like all of David's siblings are the same names: Eliab, Isaiah. So it's kind of weird that he's Nicholas and everyone else has like traditional, you know, Jewish names or Hebrew names, I guess. Traditional Hebrew names. But it was so good. And I feel so bad because the guy only has like 4 reviews for his book. But I did really enjoy this. I already have Heretics and Hunters. I believe Heretics and Hunters is the second book. It kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Really good. Highly suggest it. Even if you aren't into Bible stories, it's just a good YA novel. Like, if you like action and like Mad Kings and fleeing for your life, like, it's good. It's good. I love it. I can't wait. Then another book that I saw on Desi Darling's channel was Carols and Chaos by Cindy Anstey. And this is kind of like a mystery Regency novel. But it's about like the staff of like a wealthy family, and someone goes missing, and there's like counterfeiting, and it takes place around Christmas time. So it doesn't have, I read it because I thought it was going to have more Christmassy vibes, but it didn't. But it did deliver in like mystery. And I did like the whole Victorian setting. So it was enjoyable. I read it pretty quickly, but it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. And then the last one that I've officially completed is Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. This one I actually picked up back in April, and I'd read like the first 40-some pages of it, put it aside, had it literally sitting here for months. Then I decided to pick it back up and finally read it, and I finished it in like a week. Really good. Of course, I have more of the series. I'm I almost have all of the series, but I'm looking forward to reading more of that. And then the 2 books that I might finish today before the day is over is Girls Save the World in This One by Ash Parsons. As soon as I saw what this was about, I was super stoked. I actually saw this as at Barnes & Noble on Wednesday. It's a Barnes & Noble Wednesday. So yesterday, I was at Barnes & Noble. And I was like going through looking at the different books. They had some stuff like 50% off, but I wasn't really sure. And then I saw this book and I was like, oh. So it's about this group of friends who go to ZombieCon, and a zombie outbreak, or the zombie apocalypse happens while they're at ZombieCon. And I saw some reviews where people were like, oh, this started off so slow, they're just waiting in line, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, dude, you must not have been to a convention. It's called LineCon for a reason. Like, when you go to a convention, you have to get in line to get your badge, to get into the door, to go to a panel, to do a photo op, to get a signing, to buy things in the dealer's room. Like, it's lines. And then it's just going and trying to find a seat or a table to, like, decompress before you, like, go on to the next thing. So, I think it does that really well. It does it really well. Like, the first 3 chapters, I was laughing, and I was having so much fun. I was, like, I felt like I was going to, like, the convention with these characters, and then the zombie apocalypse happened. I'm still thoroughly enjoying it, but I'm not really a zombie fan. So, like, them trying to survive and escape and stuff isn't my cup of tea. But I actually love the first part of the book because I only got to go to Katsucon this year, and usually I also go to AwesomeCon and Otakon, and sometimes occasionally like Anime USA or whatever. But we only got to go to Katsucon, and that was back in February. So it was just so nice to, like, I feel like I was, like, the excitement of going to a con, you know, getting my badge, and it was very nice. And then the other book that I'm so close to finishing is the Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner. This one is also an ebook. Oh, the Girls Save the World in this one, they had the hardback at Barnes & Noble, but it was like $18 or $19 where the Kindle was, or the ebook was only $10.99. So to save money and space, I got the Kindle version. And same thing with this one, I got the Kindle version, or Kindle edition, I guess is what you would call it. I'm enjoying it so far. I wouldn't say it's the most amazing book. I know this, you know, a lot of people hype up the Jane Austen Society and talk about how great it is. If you're a real lover of Jane Austen, like if you adore Jane Austen, you love talking about her, and you love everything about her and her characters, you'll probably really enjoy this. But because I haven't read all of her books, and I haven't watched all of the movies, I guess, about her books, because they talk about Northanger Abbey, or the Gothic one that's making fun of Gothic novels, which now I actually want to read because I like Gothic novels. But I've only watched Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Emma, and Mansfield Park. So I've only watched like 4. I have Persuasion that I need to watch and also read. And I got halfway through Sense and Sensibility in the past, but didn't actually finish it. So I need to give that one a go again, because I actually did enjoy the movie. But yeah, so those are all the books that I've read and or might finish by the end of today in 2020. I hope you enjoyed. What books did you read in 2020? Did you read any of the books I listed? Are you wanting to read any of the books that I listed? Have I encouraged you to read any books that I listed? But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye!